Today, we're going to talk about war and rumors of war. This is actually one of the reasons I began Family Readiness Project. We talked about that a few episodes ago, and China, Russia, Iran, parts of South America, drug cartels, cyber security, cyber intelligence, online attacks, physical attacks, things like that. These are very much in parts of the news, but not all of the news these days. And it's a huge part of why I started this podcast and the website, the movement, all of it. Let me be very clear. I talk all the time about why I hate fear, and I viscerally hate using fear as a sledgehammer to manipulate and incite specific responses and control of people, because the media and the government uses it all the time, incessantly. Advertisements use it all the time, incessantly. Corporations use it all the time. So I do not want to be guilty of doing the same thing. But I also have something else to say about this. While fear is being used to elicit a response is evil, um, blind paranoia is really, really bad. Willful ignorance is as great a sin as being blindly paranoid about just everything. And that's actually the overarching sin, I believe, of the church and people in America in general. And the truth is somewhere in between, is it not? And a lot of people are sitting there nodding their heads. Sure, that sounds good, but are we living that? Because our ability to consider things and take actions as a result of those things, it's what's being tested here in this conversation. Why do I bring this up? Well, it's really interesting. My background is not only on the physical side, but also the intelligence side. Intelligence drives most all things in both law enforcement as well as military. And I hang my hat on that, and I agree with it completely. Intelligence is very important. So, as a result, I pay attention to all different sorts of intelligence out there. I pay attention to news briefings, to intelligence reports. I pay attention to news sources from ideologies that I personally do not agree with. Why? Because each of these things has elements of truth in it. And you have to be able to filter the noise and measure up, what are all these different things, what are some of them saying that is coherent between them. And that's what's going on today. Our nation, if you're in the United States, I have listeners from over the world, and man, I appreciate you. I'd actually love to hear from you guys. And I'd like to hear how what we're talking about here affects your ethos and thought processes where you live. It's very interesting to me. But here in the United States of America, these United States, our government has, in the last 12 months, radically shifted its readiness paradigm. It is doing it right now actively. It is buying insane amounts of support and gear and supplies that it has not done in the last 10 years, honestly. And it's preparing very overtly and very openly, if you know where to look, with open conflict with the country of China. Okay, because this is how war works, add in nation states such as Russia and Iran, and I said elements of South America, because China has been very active in the last few years of making relationships with those countries and many others. Okay, so a war, an open war like what is being rumored, because that's all it is rumors today, right? That's a whole side conversation we could have. Are we already in a quiet and soft world with China? We might be. But I'm talking about a physical conflict, an overtly open physical conflict between the two nations. It would involve so many others. It would, again, escalate into a true global war, a World War III. All right. Rick's talking crazy and tinfoil hat stuff. No, I'm not. I'm not, because we have avoided these types of escalation and events since World War II. We were very, very much involved in kinetic, physical things with Russia over the years in the Cold War, through elements of proxy and funding other nations. Think Ukraine right now. Ukraine wouldn't be at war with us, with Russia, without our direct support and involvement. I'm 100% sure of that. You should be too. So these elements have started becoming more audible and noticeable again in the areas that I am paying attention to, that others like me and others that are far, much more capable in their ability to collect intelligence than I am, they're also seeing and hearing these things. People who own companies such as medical supply companies and logistics and things like that. Our government has been buying specific types of medical supplies to the point that the entire industry as a whole has suffered in the last 12 months because of a lack of the ability to collect things like gauze and basic wound care things. All right. Our government is very much looking at our ability to, on a huge warfare scale, which we have not fought since World War II, on what that looks like to treating wounds. Our government is also talking about what it looks like to do it without what's called telemedicine. Telemedicine is the ability to get a medical professional like a doctor on the other end of the line to support the teams out in the field. They're actually having the conversations about what it looks like to not have those capabilities, meaning for people like you and I, that those capabilities will, for whatever reason, be taken away, whether it be through channels of there's too much interference going on, or the ability to do so will just be taken completely off the table because our opponents will have removed our capability of doing those things. That's interesting. So if our government and China, because we pay attention to both sides, and both sides are open dialogue, talking about this conflict that they each are planning against one another. The United States against China, China against the United States. Do I want this? Let's be very clear. No, I do not desire this in any way, shape, or form, and I know you don't either. Let's talk about why. Why? Well, let's start with the first one. Sons and daughters. We have sons and daughters. I have sons and daughters that would absolutely be affected by this. Many of you do too. This is the Family Readiness Project, is it not? That's the first place I go to. Our faith and our family are the fundamental things that this channel supports and talks about. And I implore you to join me in at least thinking through this, because this is the Family Readiness Project. I'm going to start doing things. I'll tell you at the end how we're going to a little bit change the format here, and how it's going to, I hope, directly affect and help you get ready for events that might be coming up in the future. Okay. The U.S. is prepping for conflict, all of these things. And they're talking about, seems like I'm jumping around, but I'm not. Each side is talking about within 36 months or 3 years. 3 years is not a long time. I just had a son turn 13 about a month and a half ago. In 3 years, he will be 16. Okay, why am I bringing this up? Why did I say the word sons and daughters? Well, here's why. The last administration and this administration as well is doubling down on the conversation about their capability of enlisting the draft, which is compulsory military service. And for the first time in our nation's history, they are talking about including our daughters and not just our sons. So it's not just our boys that might be marching off to a war that we may or may not want in the future. It could be your and my daughters in the future. And again, as a dad, as a parent, may it never be, right? But I have to understand and be aware of these things in order for my mind, my faith, and my heart to be prepared for the event. Could I stop the government from enlisting my son or daughter in military service if I didn't want to? Probably not. Unless I ran willy-nilly somewhere else in the world and drugged my family with me. Okay? We're not going to break into that conversation here. This is my home. We intend to stay here. Okay? So it would do better for people like me to understand, while I might be fundamentally against sending my sons and daughters off to war, it might be in my best interest to prepare them and me for the potential and possibility in the future. Because God forbid, again, if they do go off to war, I want them to have the best chance in the world, God willing, to come back home to me and their family. Okay? I want the same for yours as well. This is why we have these conversations. Okay? If sons and daughters go off to war, we don't know how long a conflict would take. It would absolutely affect families all over the United States. It would affect things here radically. A huge amount of our population would just be gone. The workforce would be affected. Food and clothing and fuel would be affected. Continuity of life could be affected. Why? How? Well, because we're in the times we live in, and no longer is the war going to be something that happens over there, that at the end of the day, other than people not being here, which is a huge deal, has nothing to do with what's happening over here. No, because we do have cyber security, we have cyber capabilities, we have global capabilities that actually happen from satellite-based areas of warfare, online warfare that have been tested in the last few years against the United States. There have been major areas of disruption, from water treatment plants to logistics to all these things. And all they've been are tests, but in the areas of the nation where some people live, they've absolutely been affected by these things. So in open warfare, countries that are against us will do their best and will be successful at disrupting life here without actually having to be here. They will attack our grid, the ability to flip lights on and off, to turn on a TV and see what's going on in the world, to use your phone and your internet, to have food shipped to your town, USA, from wherever it's being stored, to the ability of our treatment plants to clean not just our water that we drink, but also the sewage that you flush down the toilet and goes down your sink, the dirty water. All of these things are part of an overarching plan of attack against these United States. We will be doing the same thing to their country as well. The problem is our nation as a people is, I think, far more dependent on the things that I'm speaking of right now than a lot of other countries out there in the world, except for maybe the European area. We're not ready for something like this, okay? But I want you to be. I want you to be more ready than the people who are completely unaware. And remember, we started this conversation by saying willful ignorance is as big a sin as blind paranoia. Both are absolutely and critically wrong. We don't want to be on either side of that, but we do want to be in the middle. We don't want to be paranoid. We don't want to also have our head in the proverbial sand, being ignorant to the point where we just ignore the happenings in the world. And should something happen, we are completely unprepared and unready for it. That's bad too. So let's not do that. Medical provision across the United States could be affected. That's also part of the training paradigm and the attack paradigm from nations who don't like us against us. What do I mean? They will actually try to attack the infrastructure of our hospitals, our supply chain, our ability to take care of people who are sick and hurting in your town, USA. All right? All these things to be considered. Heating and cooling, fuel. Fuel will be attacked, not just the power grid, which is huge. And that by itself is a really big issue to talk about. Our power grid is aging and it is not ready. Even the people who are within the utilities industry say that our system in the United States is fragile to the point of being very, very worried about it. The people who work on these things absolutely are concerned about its ability to be fixed and controlled and dealt with in a situation like we're talking about. It would not take much to knock out huge portions of the power grid within these United States. Fuel for your car, that could be affected. Logistics, again, we've talked about supply chain. Logistics means trucks coming across the United States with goods and services that we all use, okay? Heating and cooling in winter and summer. All things about fuel and electricity and power absolutely affect people's ability to survive through extreme, austere environmental conditions. We have heat in the summer. We have cold in the winter. Okay. Is your family, your community, your region even ready for something like this? Texas, the last few years, has seen its electrical grid fail, and people actually suffered and died as a result in the great state of Texas, which has proudly hung its hat on having an electrical grid that is separate than the rest of the United States. Yet it still suffered when it was tested to the point of failure. Okay, so Rick, you said you don't want to be fearful, you don't want to hit people over the head. No, I don't. But awareness is step one. We have to be aware and ready to think about these things, to think about the possibilities of something like this happening, because our own government is. All right. And does everything the government thinks about and places on the table to prepare for come to fruition? No, it doesn't. But this is one that both sides are actively looking at. And honestly, the people in the global circle of the world, it's doubtful that we can avoid some sort of conflict with China. Just period. Saying it out loud. All right. So what can we do? Well, okay, welcome to the Family Readiness Project. This is where I do my best to make families ready, not just about education, not just about cybercrime and predation and all the things that I've already taught to you about on here. No, I want you to be ready for conflicts such as this. I want us to all prepare our sons and daughters for things that they may be facing in their life, whether we like it or not. And I want you to prepare your home, your close circle of friends, your ecclesia, your community, your church, and the area, the towns you live in, the cities you live in, if you live in a city, to be much more ready for this, because the government cannot do it for you. We can go into that conversation another time. I'm not here to get political about it. I'm just stating the facts. The fact is you are responsible for your family, as am I, and we need each other to be able to do these things. Be ready. Let's be ready together. So, practical tacticals. What am I talking about? Well, I've got a big knife on my desk because I like it. A friend gave it to me, and this is a military knife. No, I don't expect everybody to have one. This. Some dads across the world will smile. Some moms will too. This is called a K-bar. This is one of the oldest military service knives. This is a very clean one because a buddy gave it to me and I kind of take care of it. It's on my desk where I work. I've got another one that It doesn't look like this because it's been used. Knife skills. I'm talking about knife skills. Am I talking about fighting with knives? Not today. We'll get there. We will talk about self-defense, fighting, and physical capabilities in a very soon future episode down the road. But knife skills are important. Why? Well, here's what I'm tying knife skills in today. All men and women should be able to use a knife to prepare a meal. Ha! Didn't expect that one with the K-bar being held up. You have no idea how much food is prepared with something like that for people who are hungry. Knife skills are basic. I've said it before. The French, I believe, as a culture, begin practicing with like their 3-year-olds, allowing them with a truly sharp blade to cut up vegetables and fruit in a kitchen so that they can have snacks. They teach them safe knife skills and handling. Lord God, we know 12, 13, and 14-year-olds whose parents will freak out if they reach for a sharp implement in the kitchen and are like, no, let's do it for you. You are so harming your children worse than anything that came out of my mouth today. You are raising young men and women, and you're purposefully making them incapable of life by not allowing them to take a chance of, oh God, cutting themselves. That's what Band-Aids are for. I have a black belt in Band-Aid. They're going to be okay. They need knife skills. They need to be able to cut up food and meat and chicken and understand how to cook something. A personal story. I dated a girl once whose mother couldn't cook, therefore she couldn't cook. And there was a family story. It did not last. No, it did not last. There was a family story in their family about them trying to boil pasta to make spaghetti, and it got flipped off the counter, and that bowl of spaghetti and pasta that apparently they failed with lay on the floor for 3 months because nobody would clean it up. There's a lot packed in that short story, and I don't really know why I told you all of it, but it goes to show you there's people out there in the world who are completely incapable of boiling water and putting pasta and getting it to al dente and eating a meal. Let's have our children join us early on in life, and definitely as they grow, give them the freedom and the confidence and the ability to cook meals with you, because meal preparation is important. If you're a throw everything in a microwave and nuke it family, no, this is bad. You're not allowing your children to eat healthy by decision. Okay, so they need knife skills. They need to be able to cook things. I think families should use knives. I think dads and sons at appropriate ages should have pocket knives on them at all times. I carry a knife. My son carries a knife. My little boy's dying for a knife. He's not ready yet, but there's one with his name on it when he is. Okay, I think daughters should also have knives. They're tools. They're useful. We use them all the time. You should have, if nothing else, go get a multi-tool like a Leatherman or like a Gerber tool. They're great. They have all kinds of little tools on them and screwdrivers, and some of them have saws. They're really cool. You can use them for all manner of things, knife skills. So that is my practical for today. And here's how we're going to change this. Every other week, I'm going to focus pretty heavily on readiness skills and the concepts of bringing a family up and getting a family ready. The other weeks, we're going to continue to push down the education, the cultural and societal issues that are definitely pressing in on us, but we're no longer going to ignore the rattling of the proverbial sword of the news and what's going on around us, because this is the Family Readiness Project. My name is Rick Sigmund. Thank you for being with me. Again, support at oh my God, I can't even talk. Support at familyreadinessproject.com if you would like to email me directly. Leave me a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Man, subscribe to our newsletter at familyreadinessproject.com. And let's grow this movement. Let's take care of one another. God bless you all, and we will talk soon.